Forward. I cut this chapter in two parts because it's quite long. There's no violence to speak of in this part, no profanity, but I do warn you, there's a couple parts where I sing briefly. So here it is, part one of chapter 7, as it turns out. Moonlight on Open Graves. Chapter 7, part 1 of two parts. Farmers. The food we buy, the food we eat, the food that we are. In the farmer's field, man and machine scratch the earth in straight lines all day, or plow through seas of wavy green or gold, or fling wagon loads of precious stinking manure about the mud. Since the first farmer really hasn't changed, to pass time there are two options, song or thought. Vern had to sing loudly to hear himself at all over the blasting diesel roar of his 1941 Farmall Model MD tractor. Vern thought he did Bing Crosby well. You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. You've got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to the minimum, have faith or pandemonium, liable to walk upon the scene. Vern was working on his nasal twang delivery of Hank Williams as well, and he didn't think that he did that worth a damn, but who cares out in the field? He'd sung all his favorites, and Hank Williams was a new one. And he looked out across the field, the towering clouds, and all earth was before him, and he felt alive and damn good. Vern grew a mix of timothy and alfalfa hay, and he had 100 acres of it, and he just started the task of harvesting it. 1955 looked like a surplus year for hay that year. What he didn't use on his dairy farm, he sold. What the heck? Come on, Hank. Through his nose, the farmer wailed the mournful, tipsy strains in as broken-hearted and dejected a tone as he could manage. Your cheating heart will tell on you. Your lying eyes will... Vern shut down the Farmall and climbed down for a look at the harvester. As he suspected, the harvester had run over a woodchuck burrow. The animals pushed out all the large rocks in construction of their subterranean home. A closer inspection of the harvester revealed the expected results. 2 cutter blades broken, which in turn meant 3 hours of repairs. Behind the harvester was a large mound of dirt and rock surrounding a hole. He walked over to it and addressed the open woodchuck burrow and the chuck within. Hey, you down there, why you gotta dig in my fields? Why not over there in that luscious hedgerow? Life would be so much simpler for us all that way. And he sighed and removed the large rocks from the harvester and tossed them back into the woodchuck hole, got back up on the tractor, started her up. Heading back down the hill towards the farm now, busted harvester in tow, and Vern's mental processes switched from song to thoughts on matters that usually ran far beneath the tranquil surface. The site of the barn came into view, stark and naked boards that his grandfather put up, red paint all about gone now. He thought of his mother's murder within the old barn, and he grew troubled. The Hicks farm was a good farm, as one family farms go. The land was good and the buildings all solid enough, but the place had a black cloud of sorts hanging over it now. The unsolved murder had split up the family, and even Vern, he found himself wanting to leave the place, to get as far away from Claremont, Kentucky as he could. He also felt his mother's soul was here, and she was restless. Who killed her? The killer was still free. Next to the barn was the old carriage house. Vern's father and grandfather used to shoe horses and park the horse-drawn carriage in the structure not too long ago. Though Vern could and did still shoe a horse on occasion in the shed, the old family carriage now sat parked in a cow pasture, right where they pushed it the same week Vern's father bought his first truck, and that was 1937. So the old carriage, with its blue wooden spoked wheels and faded red box that used to haul the wife and kids to town, and the coffin with his grandfather to the family plot, now held weeds in the bed and had not moved an inch since the truck came. Now it sat decaying, a relic already, like old dinosaur bones. Vern unhooked the harvester in the yard and parked the farmall inside the carriage house, or shed, as it was now often called. It was a much-used structure, and the dirt floor was rock hard from decades of hooves, boots, wheels, spilt oil, and dropped nuts and bolts. The shed was also a working one-man foundry and general workshop. Old license plates, leather horse tackle, bottles of oil, old cork-bottled animal tonics, assorted chains and belts of various sizes, and many, many worn-looking hand tools. Some common store-bought, others homemade. All this and more adorned every square foot of the walls. A small operational foundry and bellows were in the back next to an anvil and two large vices. Vern went in and got the tools he needed to fix the harvester.